Okay, first of all, I want to say welcome to Istanbul, and let's talk about your movie. Why Baha'is? Will you please explain why you choose that subject about Baha'is, and do you have any attachment with Baha'i people?
Wonderful. Yes. First of all, thank you for the invitation to be at the Goldenrod Festival. It's been beautiful, and Istanbul is the most beautiful city on the planet. It's so beautiful here.
Oh, thank you for
And
that.
the best breakfast this morning, I can tell
Yeah,
you.
Turkish breakfast
The
is
best,
very
yeah.
famous, you know.
So, yeah, thank you for asking about the Baha'i subject matter in our film. It was very important for me to depict what's happening in Iran in general around persecution of anybody who's a minority person. And that goes, frankly, for anybody around the world. Any community suffering under oppression from another, I think, is something that's always attracted me in terms of story. But particularly for this particular Baha'i story, I was interested because I myself am a Baha'i. And I became a Baha'i back in 1982 when there was very, very intense persecution against the Baha'is in Iran. And at that time, there was still executions happening. Because of international pressure, these days, executions don't typically happen. But these days, again, with what's going on in Iran, right now, we don't really know what's happening. And not just with the Baha'is, but within people in general. It's very important. We're thinking about the other people around us. So, but this story is pressing because the oppression and the persecution of the Baha'is in Iran has been going on really from its inception in 1844 in Iran, but then really accelerated at the time of the revolution. And it's been this ongoing persecution now for decades, which most people know little about. So I just thought, how do we bring forward a story that's about this very marginalized, persecuted community, but in a way that people around the world would be interested in seeing it. So you see, we brought in, I think, a very important humanizing element, which is to tell the story through a love story. So it's sort of, in a way, the interfaith Romeo and Juliet, a Baha'i woman when she's injured during a vandalized attempt in her family's bookstore, ends up being hospitalized, and then meets this young man, this young surgeon, who's Muslim. And through that love story, we begin to understand sort of what is the understanding of people together in any place, but in this case, particularly in Iran. Does every Muslim know about the persecution of the Baha'is in their own country? Some do, some don't. Some might know more, some know less.
So you want to take attention to Baha'i people.
Very much so, but also just to normalize people. You know, when you look at Iran, the way we see Iran in the world, we don't see it as the beautiful place that it is. We don't see diversity of people coming together, diversity of language inside of the country, diversity of religions living in a single place. And so shining a light sort of on the people of Iran was something we wanted to do in a way that was fair, where we got to see that there are people living ordinary, happy lives there. In Western media, especially where I'm from, in Canada or the US, you see a lot of, they're just news stories. So you see people chanting slogans, or you see the protests, but maybe you don't understand what they're really about. So through this simple love story, we sort of get closer to the ground to be able to see through a couple of families' interactions what really is going on in a simple way on the ground. Like
True. And you took a lot of attention on Baha'is, actually.
Yeah.
Not the Iran country. And
Yeah.
Iran is a beautiful country.
Yeah.
And why English?
Yeah, English was important, and it's funny because we brought together a group of Persians, of Iranians, to consult about what language to make the film in. If we had had the budget, we would have made the film in English and in Persian at the same time, but we didn't. We had the budget to make it in one language. I also didn't think, knowing many Persians, that I figured that there were we probably wouldn't be able to cast a film where everybody spoke Persian, not in North America anyway, which is where we were casting from primarily. And so we decided to make the film in English because, as somebody said to me yesterday during the screening here at the Goldenrod, a couple who came from Iran to see the film, the brother of one of the actors, it's really such an honor to have him here. he said people in Iran know what's happening. What we want is for people outside of Iran to understand more about what's happening in Iran. And so by making, by making the film in English, it maybe can appeal as a love story to a much wider audience.
Of course. And a love story makes it softer and
it makes it softer. It makes us love the characters. So in other words, if you come to a movie and you already are prejudiced about something, you may not even bother to see the movie. But to come and slowly fall in love with the characters, to understand that they come from good families, that they love each other, that they care about similar things, it lets your heart open up in a way, I think, that then lets you engage in the story. So that in our story, where you really see, the Revolutionary Guard come in and grab Layla and take her out of her own home, you have a feeling about what she wishes for and what she longs for and what she loves, and it makes you wonder about all of the other people who live in this kind of difficult situation. I was also moved yesterday after the screening. People were asking about, can women in Iran attend university? And the answer is yes. Most women in Iran.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
No.
But isn't it interesting? Because in Iran, there's some people are excluded from university, and the Baha'is are one of those people, one of those groups. And so they found their own way to educate their youth through an underground university called the Bahá'í Institute of Higher Education, BIHE. And that university system has been creating opportunities for youth in Iran which otherwise wouldn't exist. To marginalize and exclude a community is to, unless that there's that innovative impulse to do something else and still maintain an education, it can marginalize a community into either submission or just ignorance because they can't obtain education. But in this case, these students who are graduating from this underground university are being accepted into Stanford and Berkeley and Harvard and all over the place.
Amazing.
Truly.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yes.
Because I don't know about Baha'i people, and because of your movie, now I know. I think this is important. Something we don't know, we know now because of you. But if Baha'i is a religion, it's a religion.
Baha'i, yes, the Baha'i faith is a religion. It was born in Iran in 1844. From the very moment of its inception, the clergy in Iran opposed it for a number of reasons, including that the Baha'i teachings talk about the time for an end to clerics or clergy. And of course, in a place like Iran where clergy run the place, that's a very threatening proposition to them. But also in Islam, there's many, not all Muslims, but some Muslims would say that Islam is the seal, the end of religion, the end of the prophetic cycle.
We are at the right place to talk about it.
Exactly, we're in Istanbul. And so for another messenger of God to come after Muhammad is difficult for some people to understand. And yet Baha'u'llah, who's the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, actually says it's true that Muhammad is the last.
How much you know about our religion.
Oh,
amazing.
Islam.
Thank you.
Yeah, Islam is beautiful, So that ending is also an invitation to an opening for a new time in religious history. And I think that's very exciting. So if people want to look up the Baha'i faith, they can do that. Baha'is don't proselytize. But if somebody asks a question about Baha'i, of course, we would love to answer and have a conversation. But if people want to learn more about the Baha'i faith, they can go to Baha'i.org, and it'll be seen there in a much more eloquent way than I could probably introduce it. But it really sees religion, like Layla says in the movie, as progressive. That there's one God, one religion, and one humanity, and that God sends these messengers to us at different time in our religious history, in our educational process, to learn more about one continuing message. So Baha'is would say that God will never leave us alone, that there'll be other messengers in the future, like Muhammad, like Jesus, like Baha'u'llah.
It's like a language, isn't it? We have different languages, but we can understand each other.
That's
we can
right.
speak the same language, then we can understand each other.
And we see that, that even language progresses, that we can learn more so that we can be more in communication together like that, in the way that I think if you look at the Baha'i faith and you think about it as a new concept of religion, that's something to really think about. Like,
Amazing. Your
Yeah.
movie teach me a lot.
I'm so glad.
Okay. And one last question.
Yes.
Why did you make this movie?
Oh.
What was your aim?
The aim, first and foremost, was to tell a beautiful story, to normalize people that people may otherwise marginalize, may push to the edges, and to really allow people to see in their own selves, to investigate in their own selves, what are those things that keep us apart. And I think story has a particular power to do that. So if we think about, when I received the little award today, I was thinking, like, we're really called upon to overcome the prejudices inside of ourselves. So what are those prejudices? So sometimes sometimes we'll be prejudiced, men and women, that there'll be gender inequality. And so there might be people who are prejudiced against women, right? There might be people who are prejudiced against people of other ethnicities or backgrounds. But I think a very, very, very profound prejudice today in the world is a religious prejudice.
True.
That we
I agree.
that we create divides where there should be none.
It's created by politicians.
It's created by people who maybe don't even understand their own religions
course.
anymore.
Of course.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, which is such an interesting thing,
Thank
that
you.
it's our own
Thank you for that.
our own prejudice or ignorance that keeps us out, not by our own doing, but we have to investigate with ourselves.
And your subject is a little bit risky because of Iran.
Exactly.
I mean, Iran takes all the attention.
Yeah. Yes, which is so interesting. That's such a small country, can take so much attention.
True.
But I think the film is really asking people to see through their own eyes and not through the eyes of their neighbor, through their eyes of somebody else, but to really see for ourselves and discern for ourselves and ask questions. And so that's what we try to do in the film. We try to help ourselves and each other ask questions.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
What
for
a wonderful
your time.
interviewer you are.
Yeah.